Yeah, had our second scrimmage last night. Once again, it was good to evaluate our guys, see where we're at as a unit overall, see who's ready to play, see who needs more work. You know, we're still in the process of developing our foundation. You know, now that the offensive line is a little bit more intact, you know, which has been good. We're working hard on developing depth. I mean, I think that's a big key for us. You know, we have a lot of inexperienced guys, and we need those guys to grow up really quick. And so it was good to see where we're at. It's good to see who needs more work this last week of fall camp. You know, Tommy took the 1 reps, Kevin took the 2 reps. They got a lot of reps. I think that was good, you know, with the offensive guys around them. Questions?
With the offensive line, are you seeing growth from scrimmage to scrimmage, practice to practice? Like how quickly?
Yeah, it's more practice to practice. You know, you got 5 new guys up there, and you know, each day working together, communicating together. You know, our defensive front throwing a lot of different fronts, a lot of different looks at them. So that communication, that growth is happening every day. But like I said last week, there's nothing like scrimmages. You know, and that way coaches are on the sidelines, they're out there, they got to make things right, they got to be able to communicate. You know, we improved from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, but still the reality is that, you know, that's the first time those guys have been working together for 11 practices, so we got to continue to do better and communicating and working together.
Coach, when everything is so new like this, new staff, new players, is there a silver lining to the urgency that it's as easy as these guys looking around and realizing who's making the plays that's going to kind of set the tempo for what the team will be?
Say that again.
With all these new pieces, is there a silver lining to the fact that it's as simple as them just looking around and realizing they can see who's playing best and who's going to be reliant?
Yeah, I think so. You know, through the course of fall camp, there's been guys make plays, and there's guys that, you know, like I said, need to grow. And those things, after 2 scrimmages, it's pretty clear who is ready to play right now and who needs the work. And, you know, I think that's big from a coach's standpoint, just communicating with the guys and being honest with them on where we're at, and then have a specific plan for those guys that need to step up and show them exactly what needs to happen for them to be a part and to grow and help the team.
When we spoke to Coach Norvell last night, you mentioned Tommy threw an interception, but then the response, the next couple of drives, you really liked that sequence. What did you see from it? How did that impact you?
Those things are very, very important. Yeah, he threw an interception early in the scrimmage, and then he came back and made a play, and I think threw a long touchdown, and then led us down to another touchdown. And that's the response that you're looking for out of your quarterback. And you know, so we're very impressed with that last night.
Liam? We also heard from Norvell that Ousmane Kromah had a couple of touchdowns in red zone where I know you talked about him a lot, but as he continues to develop throughout camp, where do you see him from?
Yeah, you know, we're throwing a lot of new install and everything at. We've been kind of slowly working him in with the different groups and even with the one some and see how he react. So far, so good. I mean, he's very talented. I think everybody knows that. And you know, and learning to play without the ball in college, and he's a fast learner with that. So I'd say overall, you know, he has progressed at a good level so far.
Chris?
Mario Williams brought up last night with regards to tight end room. How has he performed, and how have you guys talked about the plan of using him on each side of the ball?
Yeah, with just offensively, you know, he has done a really good job. He's played very physical. You know, he's a really savvy football player, which that's very important with that position and what we like to do with it. And he's an extremely talented young man too. So, you know, we were glad to have him on the offensive side of the football. And, you know, Coach Norvell can tell you a little bit more, you know, about the plan and all that. But when he's on offense, he's done a really good job.
Tommy's career has kind of been up and down before he was here with the interceptions. 2 years ago it was high, last year he dropped him some. How far has he come since you saw him 3 years ago in terms of taking care of the ball?
Yeah, he's come a long way, and I think the overall of the The scrimmages, you know, besides the one, he's handled it really well. There's been a lot of different looks in practice. I think overall he's handled that well about protecting the football, and, you know, he's a veteran guy, and, you know, not putting the ball in jeopardy, knowing where to miss, you know, knowing your aiming points. You know, I've seen him grow in those areas.
Brendan, how do you feel now about 2 weeks in with the wide receiver group? Who are among the guys that you're feeling can give you consistent production reliability?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think obviously it starts with Deuce, and you know, Boggs is doing a really good job in Squirrel, you know, those three, and you know, that's really kind of where it starts, and the other guys are progressing, and you know, we just need to make sure the consistency and everything else goes with that. Playing without the ball is very, very important for receivers in our offense and what we ask them to do.
One of those receivers, we've heard Norvell mention Mekhi Danzy twice after scrimmages, making some big plays. Just his transition from running back, and obviously he's coming off injury from track. How have you seen him adjust?
Yeah, well, first of all, he's extremely talented. There's no doubt. And putting the ball in his hands, give him a chance. He made a really wild play down the field last night too. And so, you know, it's just development here in fall camp. You know, he was in track during spring, and so it's been good to have him out there. And what I've seen is every day in practice he's grown, and he's a guy that has playmaking ability. There's no doubt about that.
Coach, the mini camp out in Jacksonville, I don't know if that's the first time you'd ever been kind of off campus to hold some practices, but the toughness and kind of the camaraderie, can you kind of contextualize it and get a feel for what it was able to grow in that aspect?
Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, offensively, you know, we got a lot of new guys from different places, new coaches coming together, and so I felt like it was really good for our offense just to come together and come together as one. I mean, it was a environment that is different than here, and it was really set up for that. And you know, I was proud of the offense, the way they handled everything, and you know, I felt like we were closer as a unit after we got through that experience than we were when we were just in our regular comfort zone routine here. So I thought that was the best thing from an offensive standpoint going there.
Following up on that, I know it's still a work in progress, figuring out depth and whatnot, but in terms of the offense forging an identity, doing the things that you historically like to do on offense, do you feel like you guys are generally moving in that direction?
We're not there yet, but we're gradually getting there. You know, still whatever, how many practice we're on, you know, we've gotten better each one, but you know, still it's about the little things. And if you're gonna be at a high level offensively, it's the little things that have to be executed. So we're still working towards that. I do like our guys' attitude towards that, their effort towards that, but we're still working to get there.
You mentioned you've had backs that play as freshmen before. Is there a common through line between those guys besides being they can make people miss and great tackles? And does Ousmane have those qualities that you're looking for?
Well, I think you just said it. The guys that, you know, can make plays, make people miss, break tackles, you know, natural runner. And then too, you know, they got to get used to the blocking schemes up front, and it's a process. Like the offensive line, they have to have everything working together for a back to understand a zone, to understand a gap concept. So it all works together. And so we're on the fast track. Like I said last time, and the reality is we finally got all of our pieces at the first of fall camp. So we're urgent and we're on the fast track of trying to develop that. And you know, each day I've seen it get better, but it takes all 11 on offense to do the right thing, to execute at a high level. And that's a challenge, but our guys are understanding that, and they've gotten better each practice.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.